Hello and welcome to another episode of Cowboys Takeover Podcast. I'm your host today, Aaron James. Um, and you know what? I am ready to hit the reset button and go on another run with the boys and build some momentum. So let's talk about next the next challenge we have coming up. Well, challenge, game basically. Let me bring in wise counsel, Jason Kent. Jason, how you doing, man?
I'm doing beautiful, man. I had a couple days off this week so far. Some holidays, election day. We get off election day. It's beautiful. It's just about time. I think, we were satisfied. I want to say satisfied, but we had a good week last week against the Eagles. It didn't turn out the way we wanted. But it's a good thing during the season. Every week, I got another game. It's no bye week. You ain't got to sit with it there. You get to come out and we get to play, the New York Football Giants this week. So pretty excited to say the least. I'm not feeling any worry. Last week we were a little nervous. We were worried. We weren't sure. I projected the Cowboys to lose. I don't think we'll feel any of that this week. I don't think anybody outside of, I don't even think the Giants, mom and dads will think they're going to win this week. So I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, it does feel nice. I will admit, going into a game where you can just grab popcorn, grab your favorite snack, and just know you're going to have your feet up. And yeah, though there might be some disappointing moments, but the Giants are struggling. And let's just kind of talk through their schedule so far and how they found themselves at 2-7. So we're all familiar with the blowout week 1 against Dallas. They turn it around the next week with a kind of blowout second half against the Cardinals. They come back 31-28. Then they go on a losing streak, a 4-game losing streak. They were holding on to the 49ers for a while. Jason and I were actually texting during that game in the first half, kind of like, hey, how is this so close? Kind of a little bit shocked. The Niners take care of business. They fall convincingly to the Seahawks. They fall to Miami. For the Buffalo game, that really came down to 2 plays at the end of the first half and the end of the second half.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor can't make it happen for them, but he does look good, or decent, I should say, in that game, but they fall. And then they have a bizarre 14-7 win against the Commanders. And Daniel Jones is out. Taylor is comes in. Has been playing the last couple games, but then just last week. So sorry, they beat the Commanders, then they fall to the Jets, and just this past week, they fall to the Las Vegas Raiders.
I'm sorry.
And
I was just looking at their stats. Like I was looking at the schedule as you're going through it, right?
yeah,
And you're going through, you're like, man, Daniel Jones, game 1, only 104 yards. That's not really good. And game 2, 321 against the Cardinals and coming back. And then he's kind of sitting around, low hundreds mostly. And then that game against the Jets, they're team high for passing yards. With Tyrod Taylor, who's been around the league for a long time. He's a guy. He's definitely a journeyman. He's been around, but he's definitely had his opportunities. And then you have, I believe Saquon was back that game. So Saquon was back that game with Darren Waller. He had a high of 8. He had 8 passing yards. Tyrod Taylor against the Jets hit 8 in an NFL game. And their high receiver was 4. So that to me kind of tells you what you need to know about the New York Jets or New York Giants season is for the battle for home field. They had a massive whopping 8 passing yards. So it's been a struggle. It's definitely not what I expected. I do think Daniel Jones last year had a very good season, and that's why he got paid the way he did. And that contract, looking at it now, does not look good. That's a contract when you looked at it and you're like, man, they're really, I think it was over $40 million a year. But he's had some up and downs now because he's been injured a good amount this season. And then Barkley's missed some games. So the two guys that you really felt and were a big linchpin. I know, even I believe Dr. B mentioned it. Those guys they had really good seasons last year, and they were able to make other guys better. You thought with the addition of Waller and the way that defense looked, because on the other side, they do have a guy in Thibodeau, I think, he's got a good amount of sacks. He's top 5 in sacks. I want to say 8.5, but I don't know if that's correct. It is correct. So he's 7th in sacks with 8.5. So they have the pieces, but I just think missing Daniel Jones and him not playing well, missing some of Barkley, I think those two factors. I mean, when Jones was there, he just didn't look like he did last year. Like the team didn't look it. So you just felt, they don't have an offensive line, and it's tough in the NFL to win without an offensive line. But I think a lot of people are shocked because you really thought they had an opportunity to build off of what they were doing last year. And they just have not done it at all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think if you talk to a lot of Giants fans, they would tell you our offensive line just stinks. And that's kind of so they feel that it doesn't matter who's quarterback, because if you can't protect them, it doesn't really matter. So their offensive line has just been screaming, help, basically all season. Darren Waller, give them credit because he is their number one target, 51 total targets compared to Darius Slayton at 41. So they're at least trying to get him the ball, which is the reason why they brought him in. But it's really hard to ask, a tight end, and a more aged tight end that's injury prone, to come in and kind of bail out your offense in a couple different areas.
Yeah.
Their big offseason defensive acquisition, Bobby Okereke, 80 leading the team with 80 total tackles. I mean, he's doing his part and being quite productive on the defensive end. Saquon, how many games played does he have? He's at 6.
He has 6. He's got 500 yards, but when you look at it, like I think they only have 9 offensive touchdowns, and Daniel Jones has more interceptions than the team has passing touchdowns. So it's like you said, Okereke coming up, Thibodeau. I mentioned he has 8.5 sacks, but they just don't look good. They don't look like a good football team. There are moments, but I think it's just that offense is so inept. You can't do anything when Daniel Jones is only averaging, when he's playing, 150 passing yards a game, and then the games Taylor's played in, hasn't really looked. He had 8 yards in a game, and then Tommy DeVito, I don't even know who this kid is. He's a rookie from Illinois, so he's really thrust into action. With Jones, I think they thought maybe if Jones got hurt, they did have a good replacement in Tyrod. With Jones's injury history, and Tyrod's, been a journeyman, been around the league. So you thought maybe they had something, but with him, I believe he's injured as well. It is just, you're happy with your Cowboys, after last week, when you play a game and you lose like that, when you play Madden, you lose, you really hope you just blow the next dude out. This feels like this Madden game, you should have won, lost last week. Now you get to go play on rookie for a week. It really feels like that.
It does.
You just hope, as from our side of it, I do think they have to look at it as, 1 week at a time. We have to win each matchup. They can't look at it the way we are. They can't, because this is the NFL. So if you walk into a game and just say we're going to win because we should, you're going to get smacked in the mouth and probably lose. But I don't think anything, you can look at this on paper in any other way, and just with the way the Giants have played this season, and think anything other than, even Vegas has it at 16.5. So if that's me, that's a big, I think I would bet the money's going to be coming in on Dallas on that line as well.
Yeah.
That's how confident we are, and it stinks when you're that confident. I don't like being this confident.
Yeah, I don't like so either. But so we'll kind of talk about what we expect to see, or what we would like to see against the G-men in a spread like that. But before we get to that, what's next for the G-men? I mean, at this point, they're in the race for maybe a top 3 or top 5 draft pick for next year. Do they stick it out with Daniel Jones and just try
You
to
have to.
attack the O line? That's
You,
basically what if money talks, that's what their contract says, right?
yeah, because you can't. I think that early on, after a year, I don't know how much. I haven't looked at his contract recently, really since the drop, but I can't see the G-men really thinking we can get out of it. Like, I'm sure a lot of it's going to have to be a year or two. So but that's been the Giants thing. You mentioned it, and I think Dr. B had said it, and
Mhm.
we both have friends that are Giants fans, and I think the biggest thing I've always heard for them is they need offensive line, and this is like 6, 7, 8 years. This is Eli's career as well. So they've never, they've always drafted them, but they've never turned out. So if you're, on that side of it, it's got to be tough because you really just signed Daniel Jones hoping he was turning that corner. I think, did they give Saquon a 2-year? I don't know if they gave. I think they gave him 2-year, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
think
Did he actually sign? I
there's
thought he
still
signed.
he
It's
signed
still
the
no,
tag and they threw in like an extra
extra
million.
million. Okay, so it really feels like you kind of have to. If you're the Giants, I don't know anything else other than really trying to blow it up. I at this point I'm shocked they're not trying to trade Saquon because there's no reason, unless you're planning on tagging him again next season, which I doubt
Mhm.
you are. You want to get something for him, but you got to kind of maybe looking, if somebody drops you a quarterback that you can take, and if you can get out of Jones's contract, after next season, but you don't want to bring a dude in that high of a pick and let him really sit for that many years behind Jones, unless they want to eat it. But
Right.
I really feel like they're going to have to change direction, because this feels like the old Giants that when Daniel Jones' first few seasons before last year.
Now, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you had a team like the Saints or Tampa Bay, be willing to work with someone like a Daniel Jones, um, and don't have anything near a franchise quarterback.
Not at that price. You're not going to be able to trade
40,
him.
40
That's
million gets cheaper every year because the cap room keeps
I
going
don't,
up, and
but
the
that's
top
still 40
quarterbacks are
million
now
for. He's not even a third tier quarterback, and they paid
well.
this dude like he's Josh Allen, like he's Patrick Mahomes, and come on, they over. There's no way anyone trades for that contract for them. Like
Would you?
there's no
Okay.
way.
Well, money aside, would you rather start Daniel Jones or Baker Mayfield?
Baker Mayfield. I think Baker can
Mm,
actually win me more games. I believe in and Baker has the fire. Baker's and I appreciate my quarterback. Like, he's probably a little immature.
mhm.
Not, he's not the size you want for a quarterback, but to me, I'd much rather have that guy that wants to go out. When you watch him play, he looks passionate about the game. He looks like he wants it. Daniel Jones just has this very aloof look to him. I'd much rather go into battle with Baker than Daniel Jones.
It pains me to say that, but I think O line being equal, I like Jones. His athleticism to me beats out Mayfield, and going into a game. That's just me. I think they're very similar from a IQ perspective, efficiency, accuracy, the athleticism. If you use it right with Daniel Jones, and I mean, the dude's pretty fast. But to your comment around, the sentiment with Giants fans and the G-men, they're disappointed and they're pretty much checked out at this point. Dr. B, I sent him a message and I said, anything you want to say. And he just responds, "We're done. I'm done."
Yeah, it really feel. I have a few Giants friends as well, and yeah, kind of. They're like, even the Giants fans are like, let's hope Rodgers gets back soon, so we have something to watch up here.
Yeah, so it should be for for the G-men. Who knows? I do think that their coach is safe, right?
Dable,
Matt-
yeah, I would
yeah,
think so for another
he
year or two.
he's safe. He just bought a lot of and I'm sure the fans. I mean, this is like the ultimate um, safe play or safe circumstance for the coach when you lose your starting quarterback and your O line is not doing very good, um, and now you're on your third string. You kind of just get a pass.
Yeah, and especially
You,
when you come in, unless he had a say in signing
mhm.
Jones to a long term extension too. Jones wasn't his guy. That's why I
Yeah.
was a little shocked they signed him because typically, when you bring in a new head coach, I know they had Jones last year. They were going to use him, but I was really shocked they didn't let him go. And it could be one, like you said, that could be another reason. Maybe they look at moving Jones because maybe if Dable looks at the season, you brought him in last year and you paid him some money, let him
Mhm.
kind of pick his quarterback. There's a chance maybe you may be right where Jones could be on the way out because I truly, yeah, I think Dable's got another year or two to build on what last year was and get some actual talent in there.
Yeah, I agree. So, Dable's safe. We'll see what happens, with the G-men now. Even with all that being said, they're going to play hard. Uh, Dable's gonna look to, be creative. I did watch the highlights for the Raiders game and kind of check out DeVito for a little bit. I mean, he seemed all right. He was pretty accurate. He still dropped back 27 times, and he came in. I think it was late in the first quarter. Generally, for your third strings, you don't want them throwing it like more than
No,
23.
yeah, they're going to
Um,
throw it. He's going to throw it a lot this game. I'll tell you that.
well, I mean, I think Dable's probably saying, you know what, we're just going to ask Saquon to win the game for us and give him
Oh,
29
he
carries.
100%. I think to me the biggest fear if that I have is that we can't stop Saquon. I'm sure they will,
Yeah.
but that's this week my fear. I think that's the only way they can win. If Saquon's healthy, I think early in the game you're going to see a heavy dose. Saquon could literally have 30 touches this game, 35 touches.
I mean, anytime you have a new quarterback coming in, the defensive coordinators are just kind of like, oh man, they can't wait. They just they start salivating. Like, how can I just make this guy's day a nightmare? So I think DQ, we're going to see some things a little bit different, probably more pressure, more five-man rush than expected, and get a couple
See,
picks.
here's what I think. I don't want us to play. I don't want us to change anything though, because I think when you start thinking like that, when you do start thinking like that, and you start really, and I think that was may have been a little bit of the issue with Arizona when we played them, that they have a nobody quarterback. So we could just show up and not respect this dude and really just try to rush him,
Mhm.
and it opens things up. So I really don't want. I'd really rather not try to go outside of what we do is like what Dallas does. Like I still think, you play what you do, and just know Micah and Tank and OC and those guys are going to get home. Like I don't want to go
Yeah.
after them. I don't want to switch it up because talent for talent. This is we already blew them out by 40. So I don't really expect and they're playing with a third string rookie quarterback this game. So you know it's the NFL, anything can happen. But I think you got to just kind of do what you did last game defensively. Don't change it up. And what I want to see, you do kind of, you want to see Dak kind of progress on what he's done the last few weeks. But I think the Giants, they kind of, I think they did mail it in. Like, I think Saquon still may play hard, but this could be a thing too. Like, Saquon gets a nick here, nick there. He may just sit the rest of the season too, knowing he doesn't want to risk further injury and cost himself next season because he's still in line for a big payday as a running back. He could still get one. Like I know they didn't pay anybody this year, but I think with Jonathan Taylor getting paid, Saquon may look at it now like, hey, he's got 13 million. That's pretty solid. Let me, you know, well, I pulled my hamstring a little bit. I'm going to go sit down. So it's one of those things like this could go either way for the Giants. This could be they could play spoiler or they could just have all their big guys. Waller's a dude that's shown when he's a little nicked up, he sits out. So they could really go the other way with this. So that's why I don't want to overthink it defensively. If I'm DQ, I'm just, hey, let's just go, 4-man rush. Let's attack. We know we're better than them with who we have. Let's just do what we do, and we'll take the ball away doing what we do. I don't want to mess it up at all.
Yeah, I think we will take it away. I agree with you from that standpoint. No matter how this plays out, they don't have a wide receiver that could be any of our corners, one-on-one anyway. But I would be okay if he wants to throw some things in there to try some plays that maybe we haven't, and just get a little bit better and diversify a little bit and get other teams, show something a little bit different on tape.
Show new looks, right?
Yeah. So, because if it's the same vanilla thing, other teams are just gonna continue to find ways to get around that. But nonetheless, we're still not really concerned here going into this game. So final point. We talked about it. We're favored by, I think you said 16.5.
Yeah.
What is it that we want?
Spread.
What is it that we want to see from our team?
I just think with Dak, you want him to build what he's done the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks if you count the bye, because it's in there. But I think Dak, you want to see him continue to build. I want to see I want to see CD continue to get his targets, even in these games. I want to see, just build that chemistry a little more, get CD involved, get him feeling it. So, with that, I want to see Ferguson stay involved as well. Offensively, I want to see that pass game continue to expand. I want to see him get more comfortable with Cooks. I want to see Gallup play a little better. So I think offensively, this is a game. I believe the game 1, he didn't look great. We ran the ball and played great defense. But I do want to see him keep it open in games like this. Just continue to throw at McCarthy and let Dak, continue to build on that confidence. And defensively, I want to see, I don't think we'll get the defensive touchdowns. We got that first game, but I want to see pretty much similar to last game. I don't think that they should, they'll probably get some points, but I do want to see the takeaways. And I'd love to see you just shut down. You're seeing Saquon now at a point where he's had some games. So it'll probably be a little better matchup for him. His legs are under him at this point. We're week 10 now. So I think he has a better game than he does. But in terms of, I expect the takeaways. I want to see that again. I just want to see what you did. I don't think they should score more than 10 points.
That's what I have for the G-Men as well. That's kind of the number I was thinking. Actually, no, I wrote down 13. Correction. But so for me, what do I want to see? I want to see. I'm not concerned if we don't, prioritize CD as we would on any other game. He's been the highlight guy. There's a lot of chemistry between them just over multiple seasons alone. I talked going into this season that we just need, Cooks was replacing Noah Brown, and when you just kind of took that one-on-one, Cooks is by far, basically light years, you could say, more talented than Noah Brown. So look, Noah Brown at all of last year, he had 74 total targets and 555 yards. Midway through the season, Cooks is at 29 targets and 165 yards. So the targets alone, he's not on pace to get the same amount of looks as Noah Brown. So I'm disappointed in both McCarthy and I'm disappointed in Dak. And I did see them throwing the ball in the off season, but I just feel like for one reason or another, Dak did not take the time to build the right chemistry and trust
I'm
with
going to put it
Cooks.
more on McCarthy. I think to me, it's more play calling. I don't think they had um, the right play calling early in the season. I think a lot of it was stuff that probably didn't prioritize him for what he does best. And it definitely didn't prioritize what Dak does best. So to me, I blame that more on McCarthy. I do think down this stretch, because
Mhm.
Dak has talked about how pivotal Cooks is in the locker room. I believe he did mention it after the San Fran game, or one of those games where he just didn't play well. And Cooks was there and was with them and kind of making, bigging him up. And as a quarterback, you expect him to say that about his receivers, especially a new guy. But I just think the way Dak's talked about him is pretty glowing. So I expect those numbers totally to go up because, we've mentioned multiple times. This dude, I think, has had 1,000 yards almost every season. He's been in the league. He's just a guy that, and it's weird because he's been on so many teams and he's such a good player. Just
Yeah.
he likes Marquise Colston. He'll get you to 60 catches. He'll get you 1,000 yards. You know what you're getting from him. That's why I was really excited for it. The
Yeah.
one thing I
So
do want to ask you though, and
Mhm.
before we go any further than that, because the big kind of, I don't want to say big signing, kind of semi, when you look who it is, they did sign Martavius Bryant to their practice squad. Do you see any significance? I'm sure everybody, for those who don't know, Martavius Bryant was a pretty high round pick many, many years ago with, I think it was Oakland, then he went to Pittsburgh, or it could be the other way around. But do you see any significance in that signing of him to the practice squad? Or because we are talking about Cooks, could maybe they not be seeing what they thought they were going to get from Cooks and want to take a look at Bryant?
Now, how tall is Bryant? I meant to look that up. He's a
So
bigger guy.
he's definitely a bigger guy. He's
Yeah.
6'4", 210. I believe he ran a 4.4, a low
Okay.
4.4 at the combine. So he's
Yeah.
definitely a type of receiver that we don't have that would
R-
play. Even if he still runs, I'm sure he could still. He's only 31, so I'm sure he still runs. Mid 4.4s.
Mhm.
He's a you
Yeah.
know it, he's a potential.
He's like, hey, look, I think there's only upside here. We don't really have a fifth wideout, right? It goes to Jalen Tolbert, and he's there. I think, is there room for him on the roster? You see, Deuce Vaughn has been injured a couple weeks now. Hunter Luca could probably be moved back down to the practice squad. So I mean, I think that there is a way to fit them in. In scrolling through kind of some social media news, it looks like we're just going to let them get acclimated and then potentially bring them up. But hey, very athletic, wide out, more tall, lengthy, long arms, pretty good hands. Um, he's 31 years old. He hasn't played since I believe 2018. Um,
Professionally with like NFL.
professionally,
Yeah, he's
yes.
that's
Um,
right.
but I remember when I was 31, I still didn't feel much different at 31 than I did at like 28.
I'll tell you, you
So
start hitting 37, you feel it. If
yeah.
he was 37 trying to come back, I'd agree with. I'd like, nah, buddy. No, I agree. I don't think 31's that big of a deal, especially in today's game. It's not as physical, and I think this if the speed's still there, it's not a. I'll agree with that, Mr. Chris. If the speed's still there, he could definitely be a guy we could use later in the season. If Dallas doesn't win this game at least 20, there's an issue. I think we agreed. We all agreed at that point. But he's definitely a guy that could be used. There's definitely no risk in the signing. This is one of those signings. Okay, you do it, and you have potential there. He has been kind of in different arena leagues, Canadian leagues, those type of things. So he's still been active. And I don't, he's catching the ball, running, don't really go away. So if you can get him in there, that type of body, maybe just a couple go routes a game. If maybe you're trying to look at that. So I don't think it's significant. I really don't think we'll see him this season. But it doesn't
Okay.
hurt because there is upside. If he's still got the speed, a 6'4" still plays. So, and when you're running 4-4 and can just go and kind of
Yeah.
jump, that's kind of what he was before. He was a big play guy with Pittsburgh.
I saw a funny fan talk or social media post. We call it fan talk here. And someone said, so long as we get the one catch like T.Y. did from T.Y. Hilton last year, I'll take it.
Yeah, that's not bad. I agree with that. You know, Ty did have the big one.
And you know what I love about Ty is that he was just a smart route runner, where he would what he did against the Eagles in that Christmas Eve game. He got I think at least one PI, and that big catch. But he was just so smart and savvy on his routes and creating. Like I just felt like he could create a penalty if he wanted to, just by how he would run his routes. But I mean, so last thing for me, what I want to see from the offense, I want to see Cooks blow up, and I do want to see some deep shots for one-on-ones. That's not really CD's game, but whether it be CD, Gallup, or Cooks, I just want to see some deep shots and give Dak some confidence, because there's going to be moments where he's going to take those 50-50, and we're going to need to come down with a big one.
They have to be playable big shots as well. Like, because I've seen too many him taking it's out of bounds. Like to me, you got to give your guy, don't throw it in double coverage. Like give your guys opportunities, because a lot of the big plays he's attempted, really a lot of them. Well, before the last few weeks, weren't even catchable by Dallas receivers. So, it's got to be smart big plays. Don't just throw it up and we're just going to throw it out of bounds deep here. Like let them make a play, especially a guy like Gallup, who throughout his careers has made some big plays on that go ball.
Yes, he has. And at this point of the season, you would have expected to have some highlights with Cooks burning DBs and burning secondaries. We haven't seen that. Is there an issue with his knee? I mean, it's like what's going on. So, that, and then that's my thing for the offense, and then for the defense, hey, let's get a couple takeaways, and I'm happy.
Yeah, get Mike a couple sacks. Let's get a couple takeaways.
Yeah, this week and next week he can really make up some ground with the sack game for sure.
So, with all of that, I'm sure you and I have both tipped our hand on this one. What do you have predicting wise? What do we have? Who's winning? Final score? What do you think?
Yeah, I think this game goes under control. We probably get Cooper Rush coming in the fourth quarter.
Agreed.
And there's some garbage time at the end. So for that reason, I'm going to go 40-13 Cowboys.
Okay, that's not too unrealistic. I have them 34-13.
Okay.
So I think it's to me it's definitely a 20-point victory. I do think there's some garbage points late by the Giants. I'll tell you one thing: if that game is close or the Giants win, you're going to be recording by yourself next week, because I don't want to show my face. But because there's no reason we should lose this one. This has to start, because coming up the next few weeks, we did discuss after the last show. The next few weeks for us are very crucial in that playoff push with the Giants, Panthers, Commanders, and Seahawks. So it really our playoff push for the rest of the season starts now, because after those 4 games, you do have some toughies, 4 straight toughies coming up with the Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, and Lions. And they already really gave away a game that we expected them to win, that everybody expected them to win in Arizona. And you really can't lose another one with that type of schedule coming up, where you could possibly be 5-4 at the absolute worst is 5-4 in the next 9 games. I don't expect that, but you got to start this week. You can't lose any of these cupcakes going forward the next few weeks.
Yeah, the good thing is there is such a thing, and it happens every year, where there's a team that midway through the season, they just turn things around and they look like a different team the second half of the year compared to the first. So far, I think you would agree with me, Jason. Our expectations haven't been met Whether our expectations were too high or not, I think is still yet to be seen. But this could be, a new chapter or even a new book for our season. And, it starts now. So a lot to, still several reasons to be optimistic, even though the team hasn't met our expectations.
I 100% agree with you. And you know what? San Fran last year did it. They blew us out this week. They pretty much ran it to an NFC Championship game. Could have made the Super Bowl had Purdy not get hurt. But they were struggling. Much worse than we were last year. And that kid came in and just took them on a run. You feel like every year, you're right. Somebody gets hot. Why not us? They have the talent. They had the potential. If last 3 weeks have told me anything about Dak, he's him and McCarthy have figured it out, and they're looking like the old guys. So this could definitely be the launching point, and it's definitely set up. I don't know how much of an easier schedule you can ask for before you go into that powerhouse. So they got to get that confidence going now, 100%. And let's be us. Let's be that team halfway through the season that gets hot and makes that run. Let's do it.
Absolutely. We have the talent, and we have the schedule, meaning we can ramp up and then finish out with some strong games with those tougher teams in December and get hot. So that's what we have for you guys today. I want to thank everyone for listening. Give us a like, follow, subscribe. You can find us on Spotify. We go live twice a week now on YouTube and Facebook. You can also connect with us on X and Instagram. Anything you want to add, Jason, before I close this out?
No, yeah, Facebook, all the same. Subscribe on the YouTube page as well. Give a like, give a comment. I would really appreciate all the views, you guys, all the watches, all the listens. It's definitely humbling for, Aaron's, he's a businessman. I'm a clown, for someone like us to get some listens. I know he's appreciative. I know I'm appreciative. We just really appreciate you guys checking us in each week. All the viewers that come in on the YouTube page and all the listeners on Spotify, and then wherever you guys listen to your podcast, we're truly blessed to just be able to talk about something we love and somebody cares enough to give us a listen. So we really appreciate you guys, and just again, go give us a like or a follow on the social medias and the YouTube.
Yeah, if you want to stay in touch and kind of when we're going to release our next episode, the best way to do that is really social media. So Giants Cowboys 4:25 p.m. on Sunday. Jason and I will post whether we'll be late Sunday evening, post game, or it might be Monday or Tuesday. So you can, if you want to be in the know, best way to do that is through Facebook, where we announce everything. But until next time, again, thanks for everything, listeners, family, friends. We appreciate you and your support. Have a good rest of the week, and God bless.